On a cold and silent winter night, after 8 long years behind bars, Murad Khan finally walked free. He had been locked away for a violent street fight, one that ended with a blade in his hand. That night of bloodshed had cost him 8 years of his life in a cold, concrete cell. Throughout his sentence, violence followed him like a shadow. Brawls, blood, and broken bones were nothing new inside those walls. All in all, his record was far from clean. Nothing ever truly ends. After years, it was the first night he could finally, peacefully, and freely. But it seemed that his thoughts and worries had more power than the comfort of the guest house. But what thoughts? What fears? A grudge from a fight. Murad reached out to one of the lawyers he had been in contact with, even before his imprisonment. Murad invited him to a cafe, wanting to discuss something important. Kiani, the lawyer, kept asking about the reason for the meeting, but Murad remained silent, saying nothing. They agreed to meet in the evening at a cafe that had once been Murad Khan's regular haunt. Haven't you ever had the urge to go back to prison? That's exactly why you're here. Kiani, though scared, hid it well. He made sure Murad couldn't see the fear in his eyes. Murad got straight to the point and said, "The angel of death needs to pay a visit to someone. Someone I choose, and you will help me, or the angel of death will come for you instead." Kiani was afraid, but he hid it well. Murad couldn't know. "You need to visit someone in prison. His name is Payman, but they call him Payman Silent. Tell him Murad says it's time to send Ferry back to where he came from, back to God. He'll enjoy it more there." Kiani understood exactly what was going on, and he asked Murad why. "You're better off not knowing, smart lawyer. Either way, I never gamble with my reputation." Suddenly, Murad pulled something from his pocket and placed it on the table. Something that would solve both his and Kiani's problems. Dr. Kiani's hands went limp as he saw the stack of dollars, but he didn't let it show. Both fell into deep thought, and Murad stared at the lawyer. Kiani, nervously fidgeting with his hands, was lost in thought. Doctor said money wasn't enough. Murad laughed and said, "You want the angel of death to come for you instead of Ferry?" Dr. Kiani, who knew Murad too well, was shaken, but he finally gave in. He said, "Give me a few days." He took the money and left. Kiani arranged a meeting with Payman the Silent in prison. When they finally met, Payman had no idea why the meeting had been arranged, and he had no idea who the person sitting across from him even was. Kiani, without hesitation, said to Payman over the phone, "You don't know me, and I don't know you, but we both have a mutual friend. His name is Murad. You remember Murad Khan, don't you?" As Payman stood there, stunned and bewildered, he lowered his head in silent acknowledgement. Kiani said, "Morad sends his regards and says it's time to take Fari's last breath. And if you don't do this, things won't end well for you," Kiani said. Payman, his voice shaking, said, "Tell Morad I can't do this. He was here all these years. Why didn't he do it?" "No way I'm doing it." Kiani said, "Suit yourself. If I were you, I wouldn't mess with Murad. He must have seen something in you to ask you for this." After saying that, Kiani left the prison visitation hall. As usual, Murad called Kiani from a public phone booth and asked, "Any news?" "Your few days are up," Murad said. Kiani replied, "We need to meet." Murad said, "Behind the same cafe where we met before, there's a street. And at the end of that street, there's a park at the end of that street. I'll be waiting for you there tomorrow evening." Kiani said, "I'll see you tomorrow evening." When they saw each other, both stayed silent for a few minutes, until suddenly, Murad broke the silence and said, "So, what happened?" Kiani said, "I met Payman, and I did everything I could to pressure him into agreeing to do it." Kiani continued, "But he refused. I even tried to scare him, but it was all in vain." Murad replied, "You need to see him again." Murad said, "Go see him again the day after tomorrow in the morning, but this time take your phone with you." Kiani said, "What's going on in your head? Tell me." Murad replied, "First, stop being so scared. Second, you got your money. Now get the job done." Murad went to Payman's house, and since he was highly skilled at unlocking doors, he had the front door open in less than a minute. Payman's wife was in the kitchen when she suddenly felt the sharp edge of a knife against her neck. Murad whispered, "If you value your life, don't make a sound." Then, he tied the poor woman to a wooden chair with a rope, leaving a wound on her body. Murad started recording a video, and after that, he sent it to Kiani. When Kiani and Payman saw each other, Payman picked up the phone to talk to Kiani. But Kiani, without paying attention, used the prison phone instead. He took his phone in a way that the screen was facing Payman and showed him the video Murad had sent him. Payman was deeply upset and furious to see his wife trapped by Murad. He thought to himself, "Where does my poor wife fit into this story to get caught by this bastard Murad? Damn you, Murad." In a fit of anger and confusion, Payman stormed out of the visitation room. Kiani was sure that Payman would carry out Murad's mission. Later that day, in the prison yard, Payman approached Ferry and got close to him. This, of course, surprised Ferry. Eventually, Payman opened up to Ferry. He said, "There's a way out of this prison for both of us. We can't do it alone. You need to help me so we can escape this prison for good. Late at night, when everyone was asleep, I'll come to your cell and tell you about this way out. As Ferry remained confused and puzzled, Payman went back to his own cell. Payman, hello, Kiani. It's done. Kiani, hello, Murad. Now you can release Payman's wife. As Payman was coming out of the public phone booth in the prison, trying to hide his knife, a night patrol officer saw him. Payman revealed everything to the investigating officer clearly and wrote down his statement as he had no other option. Judge, Payman Ahmadi, also known as Payman Silent, why did you kill Faraj Vahidi? Payman already told everything to the investigator and wrote it all down. I confessed. What more do you want from me? Judge, why did you do it? Payman, it was Morad. He told me to do it. Judge, did he tell you himself? Payman, no, it was through a man named Kiani who used to visit me. I later found out he was a lawyer. Payman, Your Honor, if someone showed you a video of your wife being held hostage, you'd do whatever it takes to. Judge, why Faraj Vahidi? Payman, I'm not sure. I think they had a problem with each other before.
Court Decision Number 1404031, Branch 4, Criminal Court I of Tehran Province. Case subject, investigation of premeditated murder under duress. In the course of judicial proceedings regarding the murder of Faraj Rezai, the primary defendant, Payman Ahmadi, testified that the act of murder was committed under severe threat by Morad Vahidi, who had taken the defendant's wife hostage and threatened to kill her unless Ahmadi killed Faraj Rezai. In this act, another individual named Alireza Kiani, a licensed attorney, also played a significant role as an accomplice to the coercion by participating in the planning and issuing threats. According to Article 375 of the Islamic Penal Code, if a person coerces another to commit murder, the coerced individual, the duress party, is legally responsible for the act and shall be sentenced to qisas, retribution, while the coercer shall be sentenced to life imprisonment. Although duress may be accepted as a defense in many criminal cases, it is not a valid legal defense for premeditated murder. The legislator considers the sanctity of human life so fundamental that no threat, even the threat of death to a loved one, justifies the intentional taking of another life. The court's ruling is as follows. Morad Vahidi, as the coercer, is convicted of coercion to commit murder, criminal threat, and kidnapping, and is hereby sentenced to life imprisonment. Alireza Kiani, as an accomplice to coercion and facilitator of the crime, is sentenced to 20 years of imprisonment. And due to his gross professional misconduct and violation of ethical and legal duties, his license to practice law is permanently revoked. Payman Ahmadi, as the coerced party and direct perpetrator of the murder, despite having acted under proven duress, is sentenced to qisas, death penalty. upon the request of the victim's heirs. As the law does not accept duress as a mitigating factor in cases of intentional homicide, the court explicitly stated in its judgment that, although the duress and psychological pressure were genuine and severe, the act of murder cannot be justified under any circumstances, and criminal responsibility remains intact. This ruling is issued in presence of the parties and is appealable within 20 days of notification before the Honorable Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court of Tehran Province.
Produced in accordance with the criminal law of the Islamic Republic of Iran.